I must confess something. As a TNA fan, I got a glorious Christmas present this past week. Absolutely glorious. So glorious that no matter how good or bad this week's impact was going to be, I was going to be pleased with it. I was going to have a fucking grin from ear to ear. Awesome. Just absolutely awesome. Most of you should already know what that news is. And most of you should already clearly understand why I'm in such a damn good mood. I am so thankful. And I realize it's not Thanksgiving, it's the holiday season, Christmas time, New Year's time. It's just another thing that points to maybe TNA starting to figure things out and going in a new direction in 2014. We can only hope. So you'll have to mind me. I'm in an incredibly good mood this week when it comes to TNA this week. This show was solid. And it wasn't just solid because of the good news that I received earlier this week, but it definitely didn't hurt. There were some really dumb things on the show. One thing in particular really stands out, but nothing was really going to hinder or negatively impact my enjoyment of Impact this week. Now, from what I understand, a lot of people may not have liked the way Impact opened up this week. Because, let's face it, it was over 20 minutes of talking. And, you don't necessarily tune into a wrestling show to expect 20 plus minutes of talking, especially when that talk segment is all revolving around Dixie Carter. And I get that. I don't agree with that, however, in this case, and let me tell you why. Because as this was going on, you managed to incorporate several different things into it. You managed to talk about Magnus being the new world champion. You managed to talk about Sting and Jeff Hardy. You managed to talk about Gunner and James Storm. The point I'm getting at is you were able to touch on several different things during that 20 plus minutes. And the way that this was done and the way that this was presented was that Dixie Carter is trying to establish herself as the head bitch in charge. But clearly nobody respects her and nobody cares, so everybody's just going to come out and do their own thing and run roughshod all over the damn plates, have the inmates run the asylum. I could get behind this. I could believe in this. And as a result, I thought this was actually a good segment because it was something a little bit different. It wasn't just 20 plus minutes of talking about one damn thing. It incorporated several different things that tied into the show, several different characters, several different storylines, and it's something that was a little bit different. So I didn't mind it. In fact, I actually thought, when all was said and done, it ended up being a really good way to kick off this week's show, follow up on what's happened, and set the table for the rest of the night. After all the talking was done, we go right into Gunner versus James Storm with the Feast or Fired briefcase on the line. And, you had to figure this was going to have some type of, wishy-washy, non-decisive finish because you're really trying to go there with the storyline. But I kind of like the way they've done this in the sense that they're trying to leave open the possibility. Is it going to be Gunner that's going to turn heel? Is it going to be James Storm that's going to turn heel? Who's going to be the good guy in this? Who's going to be the bad guy in this? They haven't made it so obvious where it's been one person is going to or the other person is going to, because you could really, frankly, kind of see both sides of the argument here. It kind of leaves you kind of torn a little bit in terms of who you're going to get behind and who's in the right and who's in the wrong here. And, this is something I talk about a lot, especially with the WWE. I think I don't like is when they sit there and they have people feud, but there's no real reason, and they stay away from the on-screen friendships. And those on-screen friendships are what a lot of times can eventually generate the best feuds when those friendships break apart. And Gunner and James Storm clearly is a case of that. And these are two guys, again, that this company should be focusing on very much in 2014. As a result, I really want to see where they go with this. I'm on board with this. I know next week somebody's going to be checking in and there's going to be a big storm. Might I even say a bit of a dick storm? There was one thing on the show that was bad and really transcended into terrible. And that was this segment with Brooke and Bully Ray. Oh my God. I don't know what they were trying to accomplish here. I don't know what they were hoping to accomplish here. I hope they accomplished, TNA did, whatever they were wanting to accomplish with this, because by God, this was terrible. You don't need to have Bully Ray on TV right now. I don't care you're trying to evolve his character. No, it's just dumb. This whole segment was dumb. Bully Ray still being featured strongly is dumb. Him being on TV right now is dumb. Dumb, dumb, dumb. And we have enough of him being forced down our fucking throats with the aces and eights. Couldn't we use a little break from him right now? Where are we going with this? And why should we care? Well, that's right. We don't care where you're going with this because we don't fucking care. And clearly the audience there didn't fucking care either. This was stupid on so many different levels. Please, wherever you're going with this TNA, stop, reevaluate, and adjust and go away from it now. If Lady Tapa is supposed to be an intimidating, impressive force, a dominant force, and a legit hired muscle for Gail Kim, why does she need help from Gail Kim in order to beat ODB? That makes no sense. You're trying to build somebody as a monster. Not as a heel necessarily first, but a monster first and a monster heel second. So instead of building that individual as a monster and an unstoppable force that you can get people to hate, you choose to go she's a monster that's not all that much of a monster and is vulnerable and as a result is primed to be beat by ODB if Gail Kim doesn't help out. This is the type of shit sometimes that I really don't get from professional wrestling. What the fuck are you trying to establish here with Lady Tapa? The match itself was actually kind of brutal. It frankly really was. I mean, you could see where Lady Tapa's still a little green as goose shit. She's not that good yet. But if you are trying to establish her as a monster, then let the monster loose and, feature her in a way that makes her look dominant and impressive. Not by having her have to get help from Gail Kim on the outside in order to beat ODB. That's just dumb. I'm really curious what everybody's thoughts are on Magnus not physically being on the show this week, them doing these Rise of Magnus video packages throughout the night. I like those video packages. I thought they were well done. I thought they gave us some insight into Magnus' persona, into the character. I like his little dig at Hulk Hogan among other individuals. But do you think that was necessarily the right move to have your new world champion not physically be on the show this first week after he won the belt? I mean, I'm all for not having the champions on TV every single week. They are your champions. They are the biggest of big deals, and they should be. As a result, you don't want to overexpose them. You want to make them feel like a big attraction. You want to make them feel like a big deal. So frankly, I'd be okay if a world champion in any wrestling company only appeared every other week or maybe 3 weeks out of the month. I think that's a good thing. I'm just not sure if I would have chosen to do that this particular week. Like I said, I like to hear what you guys have to think on that. Chime in down below. I understand they're going to do the big championship ceremony next week, and that's all fine and good. And I get the reasons for doing it when they are where they are. I'm just wondering, should they have had him make a physical appearance on the show this week, or was the video package enough? One of the feature matches on the show, of course, was the Monsters Ball match, Joseph Park versus Kaz and Daniels. And frankly, it was kind of lame. Just throwing that out there. And I look at what they're doing now with Joseph Park, and, it's kind of like at one point in time, I thought he was a really compelling character. And, I thought he was one of the better characters in professional wrestling. He was somebody that was interesting. And I thought at some point in time they were going to go with actually having both Joseph Park and Abyss appear on television at the same time and do that for a period of time. Now, I really don't know where they're going with this, and I'm really wondering why I should care. I really didn't care about this match all that much. Maybe it's because I don't want to see the Joseph Park character go away, and as a result, if that's where they're going, getting rid of that character, it's got me a little upset, a little mad about it. I don't know. I really don't. But yeah, this Monsters Ball match was definitely nothing special. And, we'll see. I was hoping kind of that, as Joseph Park realizes he's Abyss after all, that he was going to steamroll through Eric Young. But we couldn't get that, could we? So we get to the main event match, the tag team match of Sting and Jeff Hardy versus Rockstar Spud and Ethan Carter III. And just as the match is getting ready to start, they make the announcement that the Bromans, the tag team champions, are going to be on the side of Ethan Carter and Rockstar Spud. Does anybody else find it funny that it seems like just about the only tag team in TNA that doesn't have a storyline right now is the actual tag team champions, the Bromans? Throwing that out there. So you have the match. It is whatever. After the match is what I'm sure everybody's talking about. And you get where Sting and Jeff Hardy are in the ring together, and Jeff Hardy basically announces that he's done. He quits. Now, I'm sure a lot of people are for sure taking that to heart, meaning that he's actually done. He's gone. I look at that more so as Jeff Hardy can't travel overseas. As a result, they have to come up with a storyline reason for him not to be able to travel overseas. Um, whatever the case might be. But it still provides a shocking and surprising finish to the show. So you're doing some different things here. And you're not making Sting look dominant. You're not making Jeff Hardy look dominant. You're featuring new people. You know, if they stop featuring Bully Ray and free up that time for guys in the X division, then maybe the show would be even that much better. But it was what it was this week. It was a good show, and I really don't have anything too bad to say about it other than the Bully Ray shit, frankly. I know a lot of you probably were coming on here and assuming that I was going to get into a certain position. But I'm not. And the reason I'm not is because I don't think the Memphis mid-card piece of shit, frankly, is worth it anymore. No. I do not. I do not. I'm glad he's gone from TNA. I don't see why so many people are so sad about him leaving, like it's some great loss to TNA at this point, where they're sitting there thinking to themselves, oh my God, now TNA is really going to go to shit. Who's been involved with the company for 11 plus fucking years? Who's been very instrumental behind the scenes for those 11 plus fucking years? Ladies and gentlemen, wake up and smell the roses. Jeff Jarrett was part of the problem, not part of the solution. It's time to accept that. It's time to move on from him. It's time to move on from that and see where TNA is going forward into 2014. I'm incredibly excited now that the founder is out of the picture. Period.